Hello and welcome to the latest in our series where we meet with those who are going to be playing a big role, please God, in the Tokyo Olympics when they take place in 2021. I'm delighted now this morning to be joined by Shane Ryan, who is going to be one of our swimmers. He's got 1 foot on the plane. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get 2 feet on. And so while he would have been in the pool now out in Tokyo at the moment, he's not. He's still here in Dublin. You're very welcome, Shane. Tell me
Thank you for
something.
having me.
How have you been finding the last few months as an athlete, getting ready for the biggest week of his life, having that all taken away and put on hold? How have things been for you?
Things have been very good. I'm a very optimistic kind of athlete. I'm an Olympian, so you have to have that mentality. So when this all happened, we were literally in the airport when we found out like the schools were shut down, and our coach was like, "We're not going to the swim meet." Like we were on our way to a swim meet, and then we ended up just like going home, and then it just kind of just got a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse, and then like canceled, and then we've been basically 3 months on quarantine. But throughout everything, I've been really good. Came out stronger, mentally stronger, physically stronger. So now we're back in the water for the past 7 weeks, and things have been great. Like I'm in great shape, absolutely great shape. So everything is moving in the right direction.
Brilliant. You came into it off the back of a medal at the European Championships last year. Is there a sense, is there a fear in your mind that you were peaking at exactly the time that you should have been, and that you now have to tear things up a little bit and go back to the drawing board? Or is that optimism working well in your favor?
It's definitely working well in my favor for sure. Yeah, like coming off a medal. That was the one meet where in 2019 we were in Glasgow. Got a bronze medal, but it was at the very end of the meet. That was the most I've ever swam in my at a swim meet ever. Like I swam almost every single day, a couple times a day. So I was put on a lot of pressure, but I got faster and faster through the thing. Came home with the medal. I tried to come home with the medal, at least one medal a year or 2 medals a year. Because the year before that, I got 2 medals, where I was like the first ever Irish swimmer ever to have a world medal, then a European medal at the same time that year in 2018. So, but no, like there was a huge difference in my body physique and where I was at my fitness from 2019 up until trials. Just that short little period, I was in better shape leading up to trials, where it wasn't about, am I going to get the qualification time? It's about how far I'm going to get in the how far I'm going to get underneath the time, and where I'm going to be in the top world. Like that's what we were looking at, and like that's how great I was in shape. So I just stayed on that mentality through the whole quarantine. And the hardest thing about that, I was living by myself through that whole thing here in Dublin. So I had no human contact at all. So made sure I woke up on time, stayed on my nutrition, made sure I was working out 3 to 4 hours a day, which is wild, except for my rest days. You need a little bit of rest. So it was definitely challenging, but enlightening as well, because it's like I got to know myself better. I got to become mentally stronger, and the true athletes are really going to come out of this quarantine in better shape. And I'm one of those athletes that definitely did.
That's brilliant to hear. We had a lot of publicity around Matt Damon spending Dublin in lockdown as well, but he had his daughters and his wife and his family around him. You didn't. Tell us a little bit about your backstory, because you've come out of the US college system and the swim team. You swam the Olympic trials over in the US before. Tell us a little bit about the transition from from where you grew up and where you came from. Obviously, with a name like Shane Ryan, there was a lot of Irish heritage in there anyway. But how did you find that transition, and how did that all go?
It went really well. So I've always had my Irish dual citizenship mostly my whole life, because my father, he's from Port Arlington in County Laois, and he's 1 out of 10. So he's the only one living in the States. So all 9 aunts and uncles are still living in Port Arlington. I go down and see them as much as I can. So like that's only about 50 minutes to an hour away from me, which is great. Then even on my mother's side, I still have family over there, and her maiden name, Mary Beth Bonner, is her maiden name, and she has cousins over in Mayo as well, which is great. So we definitely have I definitely have Irish heritage for sure. And even my dad being my dad's been over there for about 30 years, still has a thick country accent, which is great. So an opportunity came in 2014-15, where I was able to decide okay, where am I going to be at, what do I need to do, and the opportunity came up. where I was able to go live. I got in contact with Swim Ireland, and they made it so easy. Swim Ireland has been so grateful to me. I'm so grateful for them, and they've been great working with me. And we got the transition over really, really quickly. Came over, saw a lawyer, got the date, and then literally a year after, I was like able, like it was perfect timing. It was like the day before 2016 Europeans in London, and I was able to compete for them there. So that was great. Yeah, so that was really the transition. It was hard. I had to leave school. I had to make sure I had my scholarship in place. I had to make sure Penn State was okay with it. And then I was able to come back and graduate, because there is a life after swimming. I'm a big advocate in like a life after swimming, and they're like education is key. So I went back on my education, and now I'm back here.
Great. What was the education? Where did you come out with the
It was
qualification?
sports management. So
Okay.
it was great. So I ended up like working with like my last semester, which was about 15 weeks. I worked with the Penn State athletic department, putting together like football games, soccer games, or football, like, softball, volleyball, swim meets, like helped put together the NCAA championships for fencing that's going to be hosted there in the springtime at the time. So like I did a lot. I was working 50-hour weeks, which that's what I had to do. But I was also trying to train 20 hours a week as well. So
Okay.
it was
Well,
very hard, but I loved the hard work. Loved it. I really got to learn more about myself and got to see the other side of sports. Because being an athlete, you just show up and you just do your thing. You do your thing. And part of that role was I was the guy setting up all that. So it was great, and I was very enlightening to see how much work goes into just a simple dual meet, or so it was interesting, and it was a lot of fun.
you must feel very much at home out there on the Sport Ireland campus then, with all the sports gathered around you in that way, and you could probably turn your hands to all of them as well. Tell me,
Yeah.
getting back into the pool, we spoke to a couple of your teammates and to Ellen Keane on the Paralympic side as well about the excitement of actually getting back into the water.
Yeah.
Was it was it tough? This is probably the longest break you've had out of the water since you started as a kid.
Yeah, no, that's the longest I've ever been out of the water my entire life. I mean, I've always played. I love playing sports. I'm always like, I played 10 sports growing up. And that's the longest I've ever been out of the water. But I mean, I'm still working out. I still have a stationary bike here, jump ropes. Sport Ireland was absolutely amazing and gave us all the athletes as much as they can. Like, so I had like dumbbells here, a barbell here, weights. So they made sure that we were best kitted as we could, and like I took full advantage of it. So I definitely not really enjoyed it, but like I was happy that I was able to have that opportunity to have that here, because I knew a lot of other athletes weren't able to have that. But that's some of the benefits of training in Dublin.
And you've now got 12 months to prepare once again to reset and to get back in the pool, get back into your own right mindset. How do you do that? Have you been able to map out what it's going to be like now over the next 12 months, where you want to see yourself in terms of the physical side, the mental side, the competition side?
Yeah, I mean, for Mike, you become mentally strong from a lot of experiences, and I've definitely had a lot of experiences in my life, highs, lows. So I'll definitely learn from it. But for me, I mean, I take it day by day, week by week, and just do what I need to do. I need to wake up every single morning knowing that I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. So that's kind of how my mentality is. I kind of have a rough outline, but I mean, everyone else is in the same situation. Everyone else still has to wait. But for Ireland, this is actually might be a beneficial thing for Ireland, because we have so many younger kids that are just on the cusp of needing that extra year. So now we had that extra year. So now we might be able to send even more people to the Olympics compared to 3 Olympians that we had last time, myself, Nicholas Quinn, and Fiona Doyle. So it's like, we could actually send a huge team this time. And it's a good opportunity for these kids that are like 18, 19 years old, just to get that little extra strength, to capitalize on becoming more smarter in how they race, knowing their body better, which is, since at that time, their body is changing so much and becoming stronger. And just in the past 7 weeks, I've seen a huge difference in some of the swimmers, the younger swimmers I'm training with, and how much they've gotten better already. So just give it another year. We're going to be unstoppable soon. But for myself, it's just, I'm ready to go. I wasn't planning on stopping swimming after this Olympics. I'm still literally getting faster and faster every year in some sort of event. So it's like the 100 backstroke's my main one. That's kind of a mental one. It took me about 6.5 years to go best time in that. But now, since I've crossed that line, I'm going to get faster and faster. The 100 free's gotten faster, 50 free's gotten faster. I've added a new event to my Olympic calendar now, the 100 fly, which is wild. So everything is moving in the right direction.
You had to recalibrate completely coming out of the NCAA in the States, where they swim in the old imperial measures.
Yeah,
It's only a tiny
yeah.
difference, but
Big
you're
difference.
dealing in hundredths of seconds. So you had to recalibrate your stroke style and everything like that, did you?
Yeah, and it was a lot harder than I expected too. I mean, but the one good thing about that though, we raced so much. So I definitely have a competitive edge on racing, know my body at that race tempo, my turns and underwater is a little bit better just because of the repetitions, because it's so short. So I have that experience, but it's just the swimming, it just takes a little bit longer, especially when I'm a sprinter doing 50 meters is a bit different from 25 yards. But no, I mean, you're always going to learn. You're always going to learn more about yourself and in different situations like that. So, yes, I did benefit from it, but I mean, I'm still learning, and that's one of the great things about swimming. You're always going to be learning about yourself, and something new is going to pop up.
Always learning, always looking forward. Just to finish off, how do you see yourself in a year's time? You'll be standing on the side of a pool in Tokyo, getting ready to give it your best shot at an Olympic Games. Do you believe in visualizing where you're going to be and what you're going to do?
So for me, I definitely believe my first Olympics, the only biggest meets I've ever been to was like NCAA's, and then also European Championships. That's it. I had not that much experience, you know. Now I'd love to race, but now since then I have 4 medals for Ireland. I've been to the Olympics. I've been to a semifinals for the Olympics as well. This time I've had all that experience. I'm not going to be as nervous. I know what I need to do. I know what I'm capable of, and I have the team and some Ireland's team supporting me. Even with Circle K supporting me, I have Team Ireland supporting me. Like, we're going to the Olympics, we're going to the semifinal, and then we're going to go to the final and try to fight for a medal now, because I know what I'm capable of, and I'm in better shape than I was a couple months ago than I am now. So I'm ready to go for it.
I tell you, if we could bottle your spirit and your confidence, and that's probably all the vaccine that we'll need to get us through this over the course of the next year. Hopefully that can rub off
with some people, and then we can all come home with something more than we have been in the past couple of years.
Okay. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Shane. The very best of luck in the year ahead.
I appreciate it. You too.
Great stuff.